Hi everybody, this is Crystal, and I'm going to talk to you today about some stuff that's been on my mind about the men's rights activists and the Manosphere and all these different games that they like to play. It's important to know your enemy, ladies, and to be very careful so that you don't get hurt. What really bothers me is that these men on a whole are very misogynistic, and they have this very warped view of women where they view women as childlike creatures who have less intelligence than them, like we are slaves or something that needs to be controlled. And a lot of these men just use women for sex, and they play these games with these women. They call it spinning plates, where they have like these different women in different areas, and they're just having sex with these women, and they're misleading these women into thinking that they could be possibly more. And they also are spreading disease because you know as well as I do that they're not using protection with all of these women. And even if they did use a condom every time with these women, condoms do not get everything. So these men are spreading disease and they're spreading heartbreak. And it's important to protect yourself, and that's why I'm going to tell you a little bit about them so that you can kind of be aware of how they operate. Another thing they do is called stealthing, which is whereby they will pretend to be using a condom and then take the condom off during the sex act, and that exposes you to a lot of diseases. And it's quite rude, it's disrespectful. They're putting their desires above your desires and their desire for pleasure above your health, and that's not okay. So that's another thing that you have to be aware of. These men say that they are for men's rights, but men have already had rights for centuries, rights that they have been taking from us for centuries. So forgive me if I'm not crying a river over your ex-wife screwing you over with the child support payments. Forgive me if I'm not, because women have been dealing with this and more for centuries, and we have been so oppressed by men through the centuries. They will get upset when we say this, but it's the truth. So if they cannot hack it in the world that they created, I don't have too much sympathy for them. Just like they complain the school system is against boys. Okay, the school system was created by men because we didn't have any rights, so they were created by men. So if males cannot survive in a situation that they created, I don't have any sympathy for them. I'm just sorry. Another thing to look out for with these men is that they want basically a virgin. They can play the field, but they want you to be a virgin or they'll settle with you. But yet, they want this same version to turn into a porn star the moment that the ring is on. And they complain that the sex is vanilla, or the woman is lousy in bed, or the woman is boring in bed, and all of these things. And I'm like, to do all of these things sexually, you need some sexual experience. Okay, that's just all there is to it. You say you didn't want the woman to have any experience. Okay, she doesn't. So don't complain if the sex is vanilla. That's all there is to it. You haven't even given her time to develop all of these things that you're demanding. It's like you can't win with these guys. Another thing is that they're unhappy with their own lives. Like I mentioned the child support example earlier. They're unhappy with their own lives. Maybe they had an ex-wife who was a harpy, or maybe their own mother was a nag or something like that. And they're not happy with their own lives, so whatever problems that they've had with women in their lives, they're using all of us women as a scapegoat for that. That's not cool at all. And also another thing that they do is called negging. That's spelled Negging, whereby they'll take this woman who's perfectly okay in the looks department, perfectly okay in the personality department, and then they will say these little things to bring her down, these little things to chip away at her self-esteem. So I guess if they bring her down, they will feel that she will be more receptive to their advances. Like if they bring her down and make her think that she has these flaws, she will be more receptive to their advances, because she'll be like, oh, I have all these flaws and he still wants to get with me. So that's what they do with negging. So if a guy is constantly criticizing you or making these little slick comments about you, that is a major red flag. Just saying. My advice is just to be careful who you have sex with. That's just my opinion. And just don't do it for a man. I advise you to keep your number of sexual partners down. And I'm not saying this because that's what these men are saying. I'm saying this to protect yourself. A lot of STDs are more easily passed from men to women and not vice versa because of the way that we are built. And condoms don't protect against everything. Like condoms don't protect against herpes, really. They lower the risk, but they don't protect against everything because of the herpes virus is shedding from areas that the condom does not cover, then you're still out of luck. So my advice is just to be careful who you have sex with and to limit your number of sexual partners, and also to only have sex within a committed relationship. That's my advice. Don't let these men use you and then dump you. Don't let these men just pump and dump, like they call it. Don't let them take advantage of you in that matter. You're worth more than that. And also another thing to consider when you do choose to have sex is the female condom. You cannot use the female condom with the male condom. The female condom is a different thing altogether. I advise you to look for some videos on it, but it basically covers more area than the male condom and also gives the female more control. So the female condom may be something that you're interested in if you are looking to have a sex life, a varied sex life. So that's just another way that you can protect yourself. And a lot of women give these men the time of the day because they're worried that if they don't, they'll be alone. So I might as well just accept this guy even though he's not doing what he's supposed to be doing. Don't fall for that. I mean, even if your so-called biological clock does run out and you're no longer able to have children, there are worse things than being childless or child-free. There are worse things in the world than that. Don't be rushed into a bad situation just because you feel your biological clock is ticking. There are worse things not to have than children. If you're that worried, you can adopt, you can foster, you can use a sperm donor, egg donor, whatever. If you're that bent on becoming a parent, you can do that. But there's no use rushing into a bad relationship or a relationship that has loads of red flags just because you're afraid that you won't be able to have any children, And a lot of people feel that you shouldn't be bringing a child to the world without a husband, without a man. And that's understandable. That's an understandable position. But in my opinion, all mothers are single mothers to a certain degree. The majority of the time, you're going to be doing the dirty work of child rearing, while he is going to be playing with his Xbox or watching TV or at work or pursuing his dreams. That's just how it works out. There have been studies done on this that show that even when women and men both work outside the home, the women do most of the housework. So basically the dirty work is going to fall upon you whether you're married or whether you're not. So all these people say that they don't agree with having children without a husband. All mothers are single mothers to a certain degree. You're going to be doing most of the dirty work. That's just how it is. And even with men who say that they are egalitarian, or men who promise to be different, or men who are enlightened, they still fall back into these patterns. Even Barack Obama said that Michelle was doing the dirty work for a lot of the children's childhood. While he was out there pursuing his career and doing what he had to do to push himself forward in the political world, she was doing the dirty work, and he was able to do all of these things because she was doing the dirty work, changing the diapers, wiping the snotty noses, and all of that. So all mothers are single mothers to a degree. So that's just kind of how I see it about it. You will be doing more of the dirty work 9 times out of 10. And if you're listening to this and you have a man who does his fair share of child and housework, then you have a rare thing indeed. That's all I'm going to say about that. So basically, I just want to warn you to don't fall for the game, look at these things with a critical eye, and don't allow these men to take advantage of you sexually, mentally, and emotionally. Be very careful and don't allow fear of being alone or fear of a biological clock running out or whatever convince you to stay with, get with, or breed with a man who is not for you, a man who is a misogynistic creep, okay? So that's all I have to say on the matter. I'm going to leave some links to some studies in the description box below so that you will see that I'm not just talking out of my behind, that I've actually done the studies, I've actually done the research, I've actually done the reading. So I'm not just talking out of my behind. I will leave some links below so that you can look at the sociological studies that were done. And also about the comment section, I'm just going to close the comments on this one because I know that a bunch of these MRAs are just not even going to want to have a dialogue with me. They're going to be just calling me a she-boon, a fat she-boon, and all that kind of stuff like that because they don't like the fact that I'm telling the truth about them, and the truth hurts. So I'm just going to leave the comment section closed on this one and let the studies and the description box speak for itself. Okay? Stay safe, everybody. Have a great day. Bye-bye.